My profile. My profile. Button. Voiceover off.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala Rasul al-Kareem. Wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa sallama tasliman kathira. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وبعد. We continue with our lesson in the famous book of Imam al-Maqdisi, وهو ummdatul-akham, ummdatul-akham. We mentioned the ummdatul-akham is a famous book that many scholars have explained and taught over the years. Alhamdulillah, Allah has blessed us to study this book amongst the scholars in Yemen, and alhamdulillah, we are trying to give just a brief benefit from it. When I said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we ask Allah to give us sincerity and truthfulness in that. Ameen. We are still in Kitab al-Tahara. Kitab al-Tahara, the book of purification, meaning everything in this category would deal with purification. Today we will deal with the remaining hadith around mani. Mani is the sperm. Hukm mani. What is the ruling about the sperm? And we will begin the issue of al-ghusl, al-maqdara. Al-maqdarat al-mal al-ghusl. How much water should a person use for ghusl? And then we will go into bab at-tayammu, the chapter of dry ablution. The people like to say tayammun, tayammun, but it's at-tayammu, and it means to put yourself in a state where you can pray by using something that's from the earth's surface, whether it be soil or dirt or sand like this. The first hadith we take, Hukm mani, the ruling for the sperm, is the hadith of Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, which the author he brought is in the Bukhari and Muslim. قالت كنت غسلت من الجنابة ثوب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وخرج إلى المسجد ووقوع فيها وخرج إلى المسجد ووقوع يعني ووقوع فيها فيصلي عليه الصلاة والسلام كما قال. Well, Aisha, she mentioned that she used to clean the thobe, the garment of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She used to wash it. She used to wash the thobe of the Prophet sallam, that some sperm had reached his clothing. So she used to wash it for him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like we would say spot washing. You get a rag or you get a little water and you wipe something off the garment like this. And she said, then the Prophet left out, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, while the spot was still there, and he prayed in it. The author, when he talks, or I should say not the author, because you have the one who collected the hadith in the chapter, and then you have the one who explained it. So the one who explained this whole book, he said, what's understood from the statement of Aisha, she washed his thobe. He said, Taratan تارة يفرقه بالماء يفرقه بالماء وَلَا يُجَفْ. Naam, وَلَا يُجَفْ. The word jaf means dry. So here, وَلَا يُجَفْ, meaning that the spot wasn't dry, it was still wet. So this is one meaning here from this hadith. As in the narration of Muslim, the wording, she mentioned Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, that she used to remove it, yani yufruquhu, she used to remove it like you scrape something, and this was without water. So you have two wordings. You have the wording in Sahih Bukhari that clearly mentions that she removed it or tried to remove it with water. And then you have the narration in Muslim that says she scraped it. She removed it without water. So when you talk about this, you have two ways when you're dealing with if sperm gets on the clothes. Either you use water to move it, and the spot will still, of course, be wet unless it dries. And then the way that a person removes it, as she mentioned about the second narration, she didn't mention water. So the Shaykh mentions both of them because this, you will see, is going to add to what's the chapter itself, Hukmu Mani, the ruling for the sperm. The ruling for the sperm. So the Shaykh says, Al-Ma'na Ijmali. Al-Ma'na Ijmali means what is the general meaning from the hadith. Said, so the first part of the hadith, we can take generally the Aisha, she mentioned that she used to clean the thobe of the Prophet ﷺ that had been stained from sperm from his body. So, as we mentioned before, the Shaykh said, "Fataratan ratba, ratba, yani naam. Sometime, yani it was there, yani not dry. So she tried to clean it with water, and that left the spot. And then the Shaykh says, "Wataratan." And sometimes taratan means at times or sometimes it was jeff, it had dried. So you can understand from the first type, she tried to remove it with water, but the spot is still there. And the other one, it totally dried, so she scraped it. And both of these are mentioned from the hadith. The second meaning that the Shaykh he brings, the second meaning that the Shaykh brings from the general things that you take from the hadith is that the Prophet ﷺ يخرج إلى المسجد يخرج إلى المسجد, he left going to the masjid to pray in this garment, and the water itself was still there. The garment had not dried. And so when we look at both of these, then the question arises, so is it okay to pray in a garment like this? Of course, the Prophet ﷺ would not jeopardize the salah in praying on a garment that was not suitable. So the Shaykh thus, he mentions after that, اختلف علماء على نجاسة على نجاسة مني, that the scholars, they differ when they talk about is the sperm something that is najasa or not. We should understand these words and terms are in the Arabic language firstly, and they can only be understood from an Arabic perspective. If we try to explain them from a perspective of English, then we will really miss the mark. And sometimes it may not make sense based upon the explanation or the perspective coming from the English language. And this is similarly when we talk about the Quran. The Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he said, أنه إجماع على أن القرآن نزل بالحروف والمعاني. He said, indeed, it is the consensus of all of the Muslims, past and present, meaning no one says other than this, that the Quran was sent down with Arabic letters and the meaning. So Allah sent the Arabic letters that you can't change when you talk about the verses. You can't rearrange the letters or make your own patterns. The way that Allah sent it down, it stays. That's in the literal Arabic form and the reading as well. Then you have the meanings, that the meanings are inclusive. They came down with those letters in the Arabic language, showing the relevancy of the meaning coming from the language itself. So this is the same case we talk about this issue of the statements of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So here we're mentioning this because the Sheikh is about to start explaining something, and maybe when we talk about these terms in English, it may be a bit confusing, or someone may disagree. But here we're talking about the meanings stemming from an Arabic language, from a perspective of the Arabic language. So when we say the word najasa, the Shaykh is mentioning this, that the scholars, they differ about what is najasa. The Shaykh, he says, فَذَهَبَ الْحَنَفِيَّةِ. That means Imam Abu Hanifa, Nu'man ibn Bashir, who was born 150 years after the Hijrah, and all of his followers. وَالْمَالِكِيَّةِ means Imam Malik, the Imam of Al-Madinah. That is the second of the four big scholars of the madahib, meaning of the well-known scholars from the tabi'een or the itba' tabi'een, that their teachings spread and their students. So Imam Abi Hanifa and all of his students, and Imam Malik and all of his students, they agree and they say that the mani, which is sperm, it is najasa, meaning it's not a thing that's pure. And we're talking about this is something pure or not, then we'll understand urine is najasa as well. And feces is najasa as well. And the blood of the lady of the menstrual cycle is najasa as well. And the blood after having a baby is najasa as well. No one would agree that at any time those substances, such as the urine, feces, and the blood from the womb of the lady, be it menses or after birth, can ever be anything other than najasa, meaning it is an impurity. And a person, if they don't have the nadafa, the cleanliness from these things, if those things are not removed from the body, inwardly or outwardly, they cause a harm by the simple fact that they and their origin are not pure. But when you talk about the mani, which is sperm in translation, then there's a difference of opinion. So the Malikiyah, along with the Hanafiya, they say that the mani is not pure. And the evidence, the Shaykh says, they use is the hadith itself, that Aisha, the first narration, where she washed it from the thobe of the Prophet. They said because the fact that she had to remove it and she tried with water shows that it's not tahir. As tahir is the opposite of najasa. Something that's tahir can't be najasa. Can't be something that's najis and pure. So they say the simple fact that our mother, Ummahat Mu'minat, Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, sought to remove it by water. And water is the purifying factor here. They take the position, Al-Hanafiyya wal-Malikiyya, ala anna al-mani mada min al-najasa, that this thing in its original state, it is not pure. And this, before we take the second of the two arguments, as the Shaykh brings in this book, I'm going to interject. We came across this issue in the hadith of Sulaim or Salama, when Sulaim came and she asked Salama about a wet dream. And so Salama went to the Prophet ﷺ and she said, Ya Rasulullah, inna Allah la yastahi min al-haq. Allah has not commanded us, neither is He shy when it comes to speaking the truth. And the reason she mentioned that is because from the customs of the Arabs during that time before Islam, they had a lot of good qualities. Qualities that you find Allah revealed them in Islam. They're a part of Islam today. They were pre-Islamic for the Arabs, but they were good qualities. Qualities that were so good, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala has revealed them as part of their religion. One of them is that people would not outwardly just talk. People outwardly would not just say whatever was on their mind. As they say, the hams wa lumps. Hams is to say something behind the back, and lumps is to say something straight to your face. As in the Surah Al-Humazah. And the ulama, they mention the lumps, hams wa lumps, saying something behind a person's back, and lumps saying something to their faces. There's an American piece of arrogancy that we all bear witness to, and it was manipulated in light of freedom of speech, and that is, I can say what I want. And we learned this, and being American, boldly and proudly, people say this, and they do it. They say what they want. But from the religion is that even if it's the truth, you have to find a dignified way to say it, a way that it can come across and no one feels embarrassed or ashamed or offended. And this was one of the customs of the Arabs. So the point I'm making, so that we don't go too far on the limb, is that the statement of Salama to the Prophet ﷺ, that Allah has not commanded us, neither is Allah Himself shy when it comes to the truth, even if it's related to sexuality or relations between spouses behind closed doors. If this thing is part of the religion, then Allah Azza wa Jal revealed it. And the Prophet ﷺ has to give it up. He can't hide the knowledge. He has to make clear to the people. So she mentioned this, and then she asked the Prophet about a lady who awakes and she's seen that she had a wet dream, and the Prophet gave her the verdict for that. Some of the scholars, they have mentioned along the lines of this issue of what is to be discussed or not discussed, or what is disgusting. And this is an old issue, by the way, but this is the issue of deen. This is the relationship that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has with His servant, telling them what is halal, what is haram. Some people have mentioned that what is haram, and we're all adults here, is the dealings with the spouses. When it comes to barakallahu fikum, having relations with the wife on her menses. A man cannot have relations with the wife when that wife is bleeding. Whether it be menses blood or afterbirth blood, it is out of the question, prohibited. Bid'ah, the Prophet ﷺ ordered Ibn Umar, when he divorced his wife, to counsel that divorce, meaning he act as if it didn't happen, take her back, because you cannot divorce the wife while she's on menses. Now, and you cannot divorce her while she's in a pure state and you have already had relations with her. So this is a known fact. If the lady is bleeding, you cannot have relations. وهكذا يعني ماذا في دبرها نعم, in the back door, as they say, anal intercourse. This is prohibited. And the Prophet ﷺ is the one who clarified that, as some people, believe it or not, astonishing so, even one of the Sahaba, Ibn Umar, he had the position that this is okay, because Allah said in the glorious Quran, the noble Quran, فَأْتُوا حَرْثَكُمْ أَمَّا شِئْتُمْ, and go to your tilth as you wish. And that's a general statement. But here the Prophet ﷺ clarified, manata ila amra'atin fi dubriha, na'am, and whoever goes to his wife inside. Ma qala Nabi sallallahu min dubriha. He didn't say from behind. He said fi dubriha, inside. There's a difference. And in that hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned that this person is cursed. A'udhu billah. So these are clear cut that this is not the way and the time to conduct business with a wife like this. Not when she's bleeding and not in that part of the body, the anal. No. Also from amongst the discussion was halal and haram. And this question was asked to Shaykhuna Muqbil rahimahullah ta'ala. What's considered oral sex, and we understand what this means. The Shaykh, he mentioned there's an old narration in the books attributed to Umar ibn al-Khattab, the second Khalifa of the Muslims. And Umar, he said that this was something kal hayawanat, like the animals, and that he is spared against it strongly. And if you go today, many scholars today will mention this as it relates to this affair, that it's prohibited and it's like animals. While we understand the only way that something can be prohibited is either with the clear text or with the text by way of something that is aql, as they say, dalil al-nas, dalil al-aql, na'am, dalil al-aql, na'am. Dalil al-aql means you have a proof for something by way of looking at it and reasoning with it. It's clear to the mind. And then you have dalil al-nas, that which is the dalil from the heavens that Allah sent down. So when we talk about the issue of the Hanafiya and the Malikiya saying that it is najis, because they take this position is one of the reasons why they themselves if they were alive and someone asked them about this issue of is it permissible for oral sex or not, they will say it is not permissible. Why? Because they deem the sperm to be najis in the first place. The second position that the Shaykh mentions, Ali Bassam, in his explanation of this hadith in ummdatul-akham, he said, وَذَهَبَ يعني مَاذَا الشَّافِعِيُّ. So Imam al-Shafi'i and his students, وَالْحَنْبَلِيُّ, Imam Ahmed and his students, wa Ibn Hazm al-Hanbali. By the way, Ibn Hazm al-Hanbali is one of the greatest scholars of showing you how to apply and understand the religion, which is called fiqh. Many of the scholars say you will not be able to become a mujtahid or a scholar of fiqh, and you cannot study fiqh without studying the Mahalla Ibn Hazm, the book called Al-Mahalla. And Sheikh Muqbil was one of them who made this statement as well about this book of Ibn Hazm. A great scholar in fiqh, subhanallah. So he, along with Shafi, Ahmed, and the students of them, Imam Ma'adha Ibn Hazm. وَكَذَلِكَ بَارَكَ اللَّهُ فِيكُمْ. Also, from amongst the scholars, in line with this is, of course, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah and a host of other scholars. They take the position that the sperm is tahir. It is not najis, meaning it's pure. So we said Imam Shafi'i, Imam Ahmed, Ibn Hazm, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, and also they say wa Ahl al-Hadith. Ahl al-Hadith is general, so you have Imam al-Suyuti from the ulama of Ahl al-Hadith. You have Imam al-Nawawi from the ulama Ahl al-Hadith. You have Awza'i wa kadhalik Thawr. You have Imam Bukhari wa Muslim, Imam Abi Dawud wa Tirmidhi, Ibn Khuzaymah wa Bayhaqi wa Daraqutni. A whole host when you talk about ulama al-Hadith, Ahl al-Hadith. So here they take the other position. They say, no, not like the Hanafiya and the Malikiya. that say that the sperm is it's not pure. They said no, it's pure, and then they bring their evidence. They said the same hadith that has the wording that Aisha scraped it, and the Prophet went and prayed in that thobe is the first proof they bring to show that the sperm is pure. Why? Because imagine, and they said, and this is not like the case of urine, where the Prophet ﷺ had to either douse water on it if it was the male, or actually submerge it in water and scrub it if it's the female. And that's the most common position. There is a position where some ulama say if that child who urinated, male or female, is a child that drank milk at that time, or they were a child that ate something, then equally that garment should be washed. And not the traditional hadith that shows he sprinkled the water for the boy, and for the female that sat on his lap and urine, he had to submerge it in water. Some scholars do say it's equal for both, by the way. Just giving you a benefit. And not that everything you hear that's against the norm or against what you heard, you say, wow, what's wrong with him? Or where she got that from? She must be crazy. That's bid'ah. La. Al-ilm al-bahru. Naam. The knowledge is like a sea. So here, that same hadith that the Hanafiya and the Malikiya said the sperm is not tahir, it's not pure because she had to wash it, they said that about the scraping. It's no way that the Prophet ﷺ would have went to pray in a garment that the sperm dried and she scraped it with her nails like that if the sperm was not tahir. And they mentioned Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala said, وَلَقَدْ كَرَمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ وَفَضَّلْنَاهُمْ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ. And indeed Allah said that we have honored the servants, the offsprings, the creation of Bani Adam. And we have blessed them and preferred them in different ways on land and on sea. If Allah has honored you, and we understand many verses where Allah said He created you from a despised fluid. What is this despised fluid? This despised fluid is the sperm, which every person has in their makeup. When the two people come together to create this child, sperm is the object of discussion. So those ulama, Ash-Shafi'i, Ahmed, Ibn Hazm, Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah, wa Ahl al-Hadith, and the people of Hadith, they say that the origin of the sperm in itself is pure. Therefore, this is why Aisha was able to scrape in the wording, in the narration, and the Prophet still pray. And in the other narration, although she washed with water, the spot was still there, hadn't dried. This is why. Because the origin of the sperm in itself is pure. And this Barakallahu fikum was the position Shaykhuna Muqbil bin Hadi al-Wadi'i concerning the argument about the oral sex. And he said everything that is prohibited, Allah has made clear that which in between, then it's up to the person. And this was his position, that the sperm is pure, which will give you the other equation on the other side about the argument about oral sex or not. Now, all of this, hukm mani, you have to understand the ruling of the body parts in the deen of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, such as hukm al-bawl. If a person doesn't guard himself from urine, Prophet ﷺ mentioned that people would be punished in the grave. Rather, in the riwayah, نقل ابن الجوزي من حديث صحيح أخرجه في الترمذي وغيره أن أكثر من يعذبون في قبورهم الذين لا يستنجئوا أو لا يستنجئوا أو لا يستتروا من البولهم. That most of the people, Ibn al-Jawzi said, most of the people, as this is in his book Talbis Iblis, the tricks of the devil, in that book, he said most of the people, we brought a narration from At-Tirmidhi and others that's authentic, most of the people will be punished in their grave because they didn't guard themselves from urine. So you see, this is the hukum about urine. Now, this is the ruling, and this is the information and the position and the deen about what's happening with urine. What's up with urine? What's his verdict? What's his nature? How is it? How should we treat it? What's the deal? Now, and likewise, يعني الغائط, feces, يعني القدر, نعم, يعني defecation, لازم يعني الاستنجاء, وأن يجتمع بين الماء وما دون الماء, and you must use both water and something. Don't just think you can use tissue. La. Say, well, I removed it, I'm clean, like the kuffar. A'udhu. La. You have to use water because the ulama said, لأن الماء يعني أبلغ يعني في الطهارة, because the water is predominantly more useful and successful in removing impurities. So you combine between both of them. You use the water and that which is yani other than water, like we have today, tissue. هكذا. Now, and likewise with the dam al-hid wa nifas, the ruling is important. If not, the woman will still be praying on her menses. ليس مثل الصلاة لمن يعني الاستحاضة, حكم الاستحاضة. لا. Istihada means a lady is spotting, or she's trying to bleed, but it's not regulating, and it's all haywire. For that, the lady has to clean herself and pray. But a clear menses, and during the time period, or the way that she knows, okay, this is menses, this is not a vein bleeding, this is really menstrual blood, khalas, she can't pray. And from the hukm muhid wa nifas, we'll understand that the lady, although the salat is greater, and it is prior in the pillars of Islam than Sawm, that she doesn't have to make up the salah. She doesn't have to make up the salah when she's on her menses or post-birth bleeding. She doesn't have to make up the salah that she missed. Or every other human being that doesn't pray, they have to make up the salah that they miss. Hatta al-marid, even the one who's sick. فَلَهُ قَضَاءَ الصَّلَاةِ, for him, he has to make up the salah. But the lady who's on her menses, lady post-birth bleeding, she does not have to make up the salah. أَمَّا الصِّيَامِ فَلَهَا قَضَاء فِي أَيَّامٍ مَعْدُودَاتٍ فِي أَيَّامٍ أُخْرَى. Now, then she has to make the days up for fasting at another time. إِلَّا فِي طَائِفَةٍ مِنْ أَهْلِ الضَّلَالَةِ وَهُمَ الْخَوَارِجِ, except with the Khawarij, then they are the ones that deem that a lady has to make up her salah and her fasting. And this is the deviant group, the Khawarij. أَمَّا الْحَقِّ فَلَيْسَ لَهَا إِلَّا قَضَاءَ الصَّلَاةِ, and there's nothing upon her except making up the salah. Pardon me, إِلَّا مَاذَا قَضَاءَ الصِّيَامِ فَلَيْسَ عَلَيْهَا مَاذَا إِلَّا قَضَاءَ الصِّيَامِ دُونَ الصَّلَاةِ. She only has to make up the fast. She only has to make up the fast. She only has to make up the fast rather than the salah. So this is حكم ماذا الدم النفاس حكم محيط شيء معروف شيء مهم, something known. The brothers even have to know these rulings. Don't say, well, I'm not a lady. Well, like the brothers say, man, that's for the bets, man. Almost done. If you have a wife, you have to know the rulings. Yeah, and if you have daughters, you have to know the rulings. هكذا صحيح. You should know. وكذلك كما أخذنا وبارك الله فيكم حكم ماذا المني. And likewise, as we just took the rulings of the sperm. نعم. وقبل ذلك قد أخذنا فيما سبق علينا ذكر ماذا الحكم مذي. And prior to that, we took the hadith of Ali ibn Abi Talib with the semen, which the Prophet ﷺ said, ماذا اقصد ذكر وتوضأ كماذا الوضوء للصلاة. كما قال, he should wash his private if that comes from it, and make wudu like he makes for the salah. Naam. طيب. وحكم يعني مبلغ أو مقدر الماء للغسل. The next chapter, the ruling for how much water should a person use when he takes the ghusl. The narration is on the authority, Barakallahu fikum, Muhammad ibn Ali ibn Hassan ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib ala Muhammad, yani ibn Ali ibn Hassan ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu ta'ala anhu qala كنت أنا وأبي مع جابر ibn Abdullah وقوم. He said, I was with my father, which Muhammad ibn Ali means the person name is Muhammad and his father name is Ali. And then Ali's father name is Hassan, and Hassan's father is Ali ibn Abi Talib, which just shows you this is the great grandson of Ali ibn Abi Talib, because you have Muhammad, then you have Ali, and then you have Mada Hassan. So Hassan and Hussein were the two children of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Thus Hassan had a son named Ali, who he named Ali after his father, and Ali had a son which he named Muhammad after the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which was his great grandfather, the Messenger. As the Messenger sallam, barakallahu fikum, is the father of Fatima, and any children come from Fatima, then the Prophet is the great grandfather of those children. Naam. So Muhammad ibn Ali ibn Hassan, Mother ibn Abi Talib, he said, me and my father were with Jabir ibn Abdullah. Jabir ibn Abdullah is a companion. وهو واحد من المحدثين, and he's one of the scholars of hadith of the time of the Prophet. وأنه مشهور في حديث الرجل في مسلم في صلاة الاستخارة, and he is famous for the hadith that comes in the Sahih of Muslim, Salat al-Istikhara, the prayer that you make and the special words when you want to make a decision. Had the Jabir ibn Abdullah. So they were with some people, he said, and a person asked, how much water should I use for ghusl? How much water should I use to bathe? فقال جابر يعني ماذا الصاع يكفيك أو ماذا يكفيك قال جابر يكفيك صاع. Now, and I'm making the changes because I'm reading this from memory. May Allah increase me and bless me and you all in our memory. Ameen. So it said, يعني ماذا يكفيك صاع. What's enough for you? The one who asked is a saw. And the ulama, they mentioned the saw, arba amdad. Amdad, and he means plural for handfuls. Yani mut is one handful. You put the two palms together and you fill it, that's a mut. Amdad is plural. So arba amdad, this is equivalent to a saw. The word saw means 4 handfuls, as we have barakallahu fikum, ounces, and we have millimeters, and we have quarts and gallons, and like this. Tayyib. So Mujabir told that person, what's enough for you is 4 handfuls of water. He said, Ma yukafini. He said, that's not enough for me. So the narrator, Muhammad ibn Ali ibn Hassan ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib, the great grandson of Ali ibn Abi Talib, the 4th Khalifa of the Muslims, and barakallahu fikum, the great grandson of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, we're together with Jabir, who's from the Sahaba, from the Muhaddithin, and my father, which was Ali ibn Hassan ibn Abi Talib. and people were with us. And so somebody asked, how much water did I use to take a bath? It shows people were asking about the religion. They didn't just do something like many people do today. And it shows the statement of Allah, ask the people of knowledge if you don't know. Again, like many people don't do today. If people do something, then when they find it backfires or it's a problem, now maybe, perhaps, 30% chance they want to ask. La, they didn't do that. They asked Allah too. They asked right away. So Jabir said, a sa' is enough for you. What is a sa'? 4 handfuls of water. So the person responded, ma yakfini. He said, that's not enough for me. So Jabir responded, he said, kana yukaffi man كان يكفي من أوفر الشهر وخير منك. He said it was better and sufficient for the one who had much more hair, abundance of hair, and better than you. He had more hair and he was better than you. Showing that the person may have said, this is not enough for me because of the amount of hair that he had. يحتمل من هذا يعني قد يكون بالنسبة مبلغ يعني أو طول شهر هذا الرجل. This could be understood from the hadith that perhaps it's because of the length of his hair. He said 4 handfuls of water is not sufficient for me. So Jabir said, listen, it was enough for one who had more hair than you, way more hair than you, and he was much better than you. Yani, the Sheikh said, yani, ta'ni an-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What he meant was the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The ulama, they mentioned, like Imam Ibn Daqiq al-Eid and others about this hadith, that it is not fixed dating the amount of water. بل هو استحباب لمن يستحمل صاع لغسله. Rather, it is recommended for the person who uses a sa', 4 handfuls of water. Now the Shaykh said, yani, this varies from yani, the circumstance or that which a person finds himself in. It could vary. It said, safar al-hadr. If a person is traveling and he may use less water. For example, he just mentioned if a person is traveling or home. I mentioned the rest. And in those days, water was scarce. So they may have had more water in Medina with the well than traveling between Medina and another place. Or if we say, yani barakallahu fikum, water was in a well, sometimes they didn't have it in Medina. If they travel somewhere else, maybe they may have water in another place. Allahu a'lam. But we understand that water, if you have it in one place, and there's no 7-Eleven, there's no Wawa's, there's no Quick Trip, there's none of these stores, no convenience store, then what you have with you is what you have. And you could see a person having to use less water traveling than when he or she is not traveling. And then the Shaykh also mentioned, yani, barakallahu fikum, if it's hot or cold. Because sometimes you need more water when it's hot. As part of the ghusl, it's not just removing najasa or for the person who's in state of janaba. Janaba means he had relations. And najasa means that person yani, has some impurities come out of him. This is the way generally that najasa is used. And this is why we said again, many scholars took the position that sperm is najasa because it comes out of your body and like this. But yani, the najasa is one reason for water to be over a person's body. Another reason, yani, to say nadafa and yajal shoksun yani nashat, and to freshen up, to make somebody, I'm awake, as we say, or yani lighabr, person feels, unclean, or I feel sticky, or I just don't feel fresh. These are some of the reasons to take ghusl in the Sharia and the Deen. So here the point is that barakallahu fikum, this may require more water depending on the reason you're taking the ghusl, where you're taking the ghusl, the state and circumstances of that person who's taking the ghusl. As the man, he said, "Ma kafini, this is not enough for me," meaning I have long hair, I need more water than that. While Jabir replied, it was enough for one who had more hair than you, and he was better than you. That is the messenger, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. Now, barakallahu fikum, this is that hadith, wa barakallahu fikum. Lastly, the issue of a tayammum. The issue of tayammum, we will touch maybe 2 minutes and then the time is up. A tayammum is the next chapter, where the Prophet ﷺ, and the narration in the Bukhari Muslim, was praying at one particular time. And the narration, he had mentioned, Jazakum Allah khairan, wa kana rajulun atazala an an-nas. And there was a man, he withdrew away from the people, meaning he didn't pray with the people. فَلَمَّا فَبَقَ وَأَنْصَرَفَ مِنَ الصَّلَاةِ سَأَلَهُ النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ مَاذَا لَمْ يُصَلِّ. And when the salat was over, the Prophet ﷺ turned around and observed this man. He said, "What prevented you from praying with the people?" With no honest, he said the Prophet never asked why. He said, and I spent, and he mentioned how many years with the Prophet as a servant. He said, never asked why. But here he has to ask what, because this is a prohibition not to pray. When we're talking about things that may not be a prohibition, it's not the habit of the Prophet to say, why didn't you leave me more food? I like that dish. Or why didn't you wear a brown kufi that matches your brown sandals? Like this, like we do, Why leave the door open rather than saying, why don't you shut the door? Or saying, why you looking mean like that, rather than saying, cheer up, you look sad. Prophet, he wouldn't say why. He wouldn't question the people like that. But here he asked them, what stopped you, what prevented you from praying with the people? Having the same meaning, but showing the etiquette of the Prophet ﷺ as it relates to how to articulate with people. And somebody might feel, as we say in America, why the heck are you asking me? I'm grown. How we feel as Americans. Or, it's not just the American thing, just as a belittlement. Someone may feel like, man, he's being rough. He's asking me why, and like this. So the Prophet said, what prevented you from praying with the people? He said, O Messenger of Allah, asabatani janaba wama ajidu ma. He said, I am in a state where I need to clean myself from the discharge of sperm, but I didn't find water. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Al-Mada qala al-Nabi ﷺ, he said that the soil, it's best to say soil, as they say Saeed, Saeed means soil. There's a difference between dirt and soil. Dirt and soil. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Saeed, yakfik, that the soil is enough, meaning to touch the soil with 2 palms of your hands, wipe them together, strike the soil once, wipe them together, and to wipe the face is the thing the Prophet ﷺ taught the man for what's called at-tayammu. There's a difference of opinion, and we won't take that this time, whether or not a person should wipe once his palms, and then his face, or whether he should wipe 3 times his palms on the soil and then his face 3 times, or should he wipe the palm, the back of his hand up to the elbow. And all 3 of these have been discussed by the scholars of Islam. Until the next time, we will stop here. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على رسول الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا هو أستغفروه ونتوب إليه. If I said anything of good, praise belongs to Allah Azza wa Jal alone, and seeking no praise. وَهُوَ مِنْ فَضْلِ اللَّهِ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى وَحْدَهُ. It is strictly from the blessing of Allah. And if there's any mistakes or shortcomings, وَاللَّهُ بَرِيءٌ مِنْهَا, and Allah is free from that. Any questions on the internet and on the phone lines? Questions, corrections, or comments? طيب بارك الله فيكم جزاكم الله خيرا. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يعيننا وأن يحفظنا جميعا ونسأل الله أن يتقبل منا. Ask Allah for His help and to protect us all, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His mercy. وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه سلم تسليما كثيرا والحمد لله رب العالمين.